Glorious day. What does the word say? This is the day the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. So we're in a hidden bunker in a location somewhere. That's what Mark Levine says. You ever heard Mark Levine? Something like that at the beginning of his broadcast. So there's going to be some noise and things. People are living life here. So if you hear any noise or anything, just roll with the punches, okay? Let's just live life, as I said. I wanted to read to you again. I'm FC Farwell. I'm a minister of the gospel, and if you serve the word, the bread of life, the word of life to people, you share truth with them. You're a minister of the gospel, and that's because God has declared us that we are able ministers in Him. But I thought about this song called "Great Is You, Lord," and after you do the song, I want to tell you about a little contest. We're going to have a little contest. We don't usually. I can't think of the last time I've done one of these, but we're going to do one. So in this song, Great Are You, Lord, it says, you give life, you are love. You bring light to darkness, you give hope. You restore every heart that is broken. Great are your Lord, are you, Lord. Yeah. So it is your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise. We pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs. So we pour out our praise today. Okay, let me get to the next part here. I want to get to it. It says, okay, it repeats, and then, let's see. Yeah, I've got it here. Don't worry. So you give life, you are love. You bring light to darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord. And then there's the bridge section of this song. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry. These bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. All the earth will shout your praise. Our hearts will cry. These bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. Isn't that awesome? It's just an incredible song. So the contest is I have this album by Gene Meldrum. So Gene and Alice are ministers of the gospel, and I got to spend part of the weekend with them and a number of saints. And so the contest is there's two ways you can win. You've got to guess what city I'm in, and I'm not really giving any hints. I either guess what city I'm in, which again, or who gets the closest to the city I am, or send me a unique picture that you've taken, and maybe the most unique picture will win this album. Okay, it has his top 10 hits. Actually, there's 12. Like, God, you are my God, and the title of it, How Many Words? I believe my reality, rejoice, the moment, the Bacon song. Yeah, wait till you hear that one. Keeping my eyes on you, living in a sweet place, near to the heart of God, in the presence of God, and open my eyes. So that is, you can win it by doing the contest and entering, and we'll see who gets the closest city or gets the city or who has the most unique picture. All right, so we want to get into our subject today. And so that means I've got to open something else up. And that is, we're still in, let's just laugh at the lies of the enemy. The enemy, because of Christ's death, right, his burial, his resurrection, and especially his resurrection, the enemy is defeated. He has led captivity captive, and he's done what? Given gifts to men. He's imprisoned the enemy in his ability. But it's believers sometimes don't know the enemy's imprisoned, and he doesn't have a chance to make it to daylight because he's got to stay in darkness. So, is it too late for my family or my children? Really, think about this. There's just no hope for my children. So these are our laughable assumptions behind this lie. It's impossible for miracles to happen in the lives of my family or children. Well, that's a lie. God who raises the dead. Hey, we're in, right? Okay, another one. Laughable lies behind this assumption. Past and current prayers are not effective concerning my children. You know, the enemy doesn't have a chance, but he will come up with you and do these sneak attacks on you and tell you there's just no chance. It isn't going to work out. Okay? How about this? My mistakes as a parent make it impossible for them to change because I've just blown it too much. I'm telling you, the enemy's a liar from the beginning, isn't he? The father of lies. How about this? God's power and wisdom cannot overcome the mess they've created. Well, we're going to get to some answers on this, right? God's promises for my family are untrue because of my shortcomings. like you could fall so short of God that his promises aren't going to work. When did he ever base them on us? Okay, others may not be hopeless, but my children, they are. Oh no. Yeah, he's a liar, isn't he? God is not putting any strong Christians in my children's lives. Oh, yeah. The enemy, I'm telling you, he's lost so much ground. He's sinking in quicksand. He's stuck in mayonnaise. He's never coming back. He did the moonshot, and there's no return for him. You understand that if you think it's too late for someone in your family or your children, we have missed this truth, haven't we? So the truth behind this lie, to defeat this lie, is God is working powerfully in the lives of even wayward children. He brought Samson back from a place of commitment and impact, or I should say, he brought him to a place of commitment and impact, even after there was complete compromise in his life. Don't think so? Read Judges 16. Look particular at that chapter. Okay, now the prodigal son, the parable of the prodigal son, right? And remember, they were both kind of messed up. Both sons, the religious son and the wayward son. The prodigal son also seemed hopeless, but doesn't God seek out the one? But he came to his senses and returned to his father's house. Luke 15:11 through 32, verses 11 through 32. Now, another one. Mankind became wayward through Adam's rebellion. That's clear. We know that. But God's pursuit of bringing us all back into relationship with him proves his heart to tenaciously pursue all, including our children or our family that we think there's no hope for. Do we understand that? Mm-hmm. So strategies for overcoming this lie. We need strategies to overcome this lie. Realize that hopelessness, hope yields into faith, love energizing, and we see great workings. And I have stories of my own in my own family that I can tell of the goodness of our God. So strategies for overcoming this lie. Realize that hopelessness concerning our children is a bigger problem than is what is happening with our children, right? The hopelessness the enemy tries to get you to focus on is the bigger problem. You need to have hope. What is it? A cloud and wind without rain is like, there's something about that in the Old Testament. It's like, yeah, that was a spoiler and we didn't get any good rain out of it. Well, when you have hope in God, expectation is rewarded because it builds hope, builds faith. Remember those things about Abraham? We don't have time to look at those, or we won't today, but we've looked at Abraham before a number of times. So the hopelessness that you may sense or feel concerning children or someone in your family is the bigger problem than what's happening with your children. Hopelessness fuels unbelief instead of faith. Begging instead of declaring, and I know there's those of you that will watch the stream and all, catch the replay. You have dealt with people like this, the hopelessness and all that goes on in their lives. So hopelessness fuels unbelief instead of faith. Begging instead of declaring what is it? I can't remember. Is it Mark 11:32, right in there? If any says unto this mountain and shall not doubt, he shall have so whatever he says. Usually we aren't even declaring. We're just, God, help me, help me. Well, he says he already helped us. He sent the earnest of the Spirit. He's paid the price. He's restored us. So begging instead of declaring, and spirit of heaviness, spirits or spirit of heaviness, instead of eager anticipation to see God's promise fulfilled, the lack of hope must be confronted with what? What must we confront the lack of faith with? With truth and zeal, enthusiasm, expecting God to work. I've said, I'm sure I heard it somewhere, that if you dream this big and you fulfill those dreams, well, that's wonderful. But if you dream like gigando, the impossible, God is the God of the impossible. If your dream isn't and vision isn't impossible, it's not a God-sized dream of him working in your life. So the lack of hope must be confronted with truth and zeal, because God is working mightily in your situation. All things working together to good to them that love God, right? Okay, know your covenant with God includes your family, your children. In response to the Philippian jailer's question of what must I do to be saved, Paul said, believe on the Lord Jesus Christ and you will be saved. And your household, you and your household, Acts 16:30 through 34. Okay, we can infer from this that our whole family, the whole family will come under divine influence, favor, because our covenant with our God. Now, keep growing in the Lord, right? I think I'm going to take a break. When it comes to giving, it's a little off subject, but people will, it's not going to, I get the notes. Maybe some of you get those notes. It's like, it isn't going to work out unless you are the one that sends the money. Well, what if I don't have the money, but I got prayers that are powerful and effective? What if we have a word of God, such as, given it shall be given unto you. Give sparingly and you'll reap sparingly. Sow bountifully and you will reap bountifully. Often the people that are begging, their issue is they've got lockjaw, and that's not the right term. It's just, look, if you stop eating, you die. You've got to keep giving and increase your giving to see the working of God. Well, I have nothing to give. Well, what do you have to give? Time, heart, love, help somebody with a project. We all have some time and some way we can give. But it says that by an equality at this time, your abundance, is going to meet someone else's need. And in that equality, they'll have something that'll meet someone else's need or your need. We each have something different. But when it's only money, 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 it already tells me we aren't trusting the Lord. But that's off base, out of context. And FC, would you just get back on track for us so we can stay on the radar blip and come land this one? Okay, so we come under the divine favor and influence of our God because of the covenant. We have a better promises, a better mediator. What are the three things? Yeah, he's a better mediator with better promises. And the other one, someone's going to go, oh, yeah, it's this, and I don't know why it's not there. But you know what? God knows what it is. And we can go find it, can't we? So keep growing in the Lord instead of putting your prime spiritual energy into begging God to touch your children. And this affects every realm of life. Stop begging God. Start recognizing the favor you're under, the influence of his kingdom working, and that he is working mightily for your family, your children, and those that don't seem to be under God's influence and working for good. Do you remember George Mueller? He says, thousands upon thousands of prayers have been answered. And he wrote in a book, he'd keep tab of his prayers, and he had saw God's faithfulness of thousands and many, many prayers. And he speaks of, there was 5 people he was praying for to be saved. Yet 5 people that in his life had not been saved. I don't remember the exact numbers, but in the last week or so of his life, there was like 2 or 3 that got saved. At his service for his life, when he had fallen asleep, one of the men got saved. And I may not have it exactly right. And after he was gone, after he had, he's passed on, in a short while after, the last of the 5 became saved. He knew his prayers were effective, and he knew God never failed one of his promises. But if we fail to believe, just have simple childlike trust, the issue's not with God. I gotta look in the mirror, right? So keep growing in the Lord. Instead of putting your prime spiritual energy into begging God to touch your family, your children, and any other issue in life, your finances, your health, whatever, focus on God's goodness and faithfulness. That he will demonstrate in your life his favor, his protection, his working. Love that we live life, we live love, and the power of God is working in such a way for our family, our children, that he's working for the best. He cannot lie, right? The enemy is the liar. So remember that God's plan for bringing your children back to him through a revelation of his goodness. You might want to read Romans 2:4 on that. It's a revelation of his goodness. I tell you, if you will give it to God, cast all your cares upon God because he cares for you. If you'll be anxious for nothing, if you'll not be double-minded, if you'll break doubt and worry, you will see the mightiest miracles and workings of God in your life. Quit looking to men. It says trust in men with all your heart. No, it doesn't say trust in men with some of your heart. It says trust in the Lord with all your heart. So let's finish this up. So we need some declarations to renew our mind, to get thinking the way God would have us to think as we laugh at these lies and go, enemy, you don't have a chance. 1, God is revealing his goodness to my children. You're my children. God is revealing it. God is revealing his love to them. 2, God is working powerfully in the lives of my children. And 3, my children's salvation is part of my covenant with God. And you can take this into any realm that you have a need. So you are in a covenant relationship with your God, and God is working mightily. And if you missed the beginning, you might want to go back and find out a little about our gift album contest. Next week, this will go out. Angela, Morning, and everyone else. Let's have a glorious day. Let's live for God. Catch the beginning. Get in on the contest. And remember, your reward is great with God. The enemy is the one who steals, kills, and destroys, isn't he? So our expectation should be soaring, because above the clouds, the sun always shines, and the sun is always shining in our hearts. Okay? You are God's amazing creation, and he is working for God in all situations in my life. And we'll see you soon if the Lord tarries.